From
Talk in the microphone, please.
Yeah, I got this idea from a couple of things, but I'll pick two. One of them was Mac and I were hanging out over the summer. Mac's the drummer back here, and we were listening to a lot of music. We were just sitting in his backyard listening to tunes, and we talked about a lot of stuff like Jeff Beck and different things. And then I was last fall. I was watching what was the movie or the HBO show? My brain's bad at remembering things when I'm tired. That the song is from. You seen it?
Oh,
Boardwalk, yeah, Boardwalk Empire. So, what was cool about Boardwalk Empire? I watch HBO shows while I practice guitar in my apartment, and I watched Boardwalk Empire, and they had all these just beautiful songs from the tens and the twenties and the World War I era, and a lot of those tunes were the earlier versions of jazz, the earlier eras and the earlier rhythms of jazz, and then they became standards in the later eras in the 40s and 50s. And there's a lot of beautiful music from that time. And so I had this idea of doing a song from each era of jazz, from the beginning through the present, roughly. We won't hit exactly everything, but and pairing an instrument with it, which I'm not going to retire because I have every guitar. So yeah, and I brought all of them here too. So that is the theme of the show. So in between each song, I'm going to talk about it. This is an Irving Berlin tune. It's just good stuff. If you can find the recording from Boardwalk Empire, well, I think we'll do a good work tonight. The vocalist on there is just stunning, and it's good music. All right, so just a tiny bit more about that tune that I forgot, and I think it's worth mentioning. Prior to the late 30s, there was a heck of a lot more banjo in the early jazz than there was guitar, partly because it was louder. And in fact, the guy who ended up being in charge of the New Orleans Jazz History Museum was Danny Barker, and he also ran a big band that played some of this historical music that we just played. And Wynton Marsalis, who's a very famous trumpet player, came up through that band amongst the many other things he did. Wynton's one of the great jazz trumpet players in the last 50 years or so. The other thing, too, I guess the last thing I'll say about this, I've tried to pick something that would be meaningful to everybody in the band. And I know Ted over here on piano has been working a little bit on this era of music and the piano. So Ted's going to start us off with a little intro, and then he's going to cue me in, and assuming everything goes well, we'll have ourselves a good song. All right, Ted.